everyone, it's Becky with Life Keys Energy. Thank you for joining me today for this restorative flow. For this class, you will need 2 blankets, maybe a third throw size, and a block of some sort. So let's go ahead and get started coming into Sukhasana, heels in line with the ground. Start to rock side to side, feeling the sit bones connect to the earth beneath you. Coming into just a little bit of stillness here. Bringing the shoulders up to the ears, waterfall the shoulder blades down the back. And start to imagine there's a string on the top of your head pulling you just a little bit taller. Taking the next few breaths, start to notice how it feels to breathe tonight. Where does that air want to go? Where does that air not want to go? And if it feels right for your body, start to breathe into the low abs, letting the low abs expand on the inhale. And then slowly exhaling fully and completely. Inhale. And exhale. Maybe starting to breathe in for a 5 count. And exhaling for a 7 count. Coming back to deep yogic breathing. Bringing the hands to heart center, press the thumbs into the sternum and take just a moment to set a sankalpa or an intent for today's practice. Exhale, release the hands down to the knees and flutter the eyes open. So we're going to go ahead and grab both our blankets, excuse me, but and we're going to roll them together to make one big burrito. Shanti? Now, I like to roll in so that the fringe is on the inside. That's totally a personal kind of quirk. We're going to take our burrito and bring it lengthwise down the mat. The toes are going to come together. The knees are going to come out super wide. Bringing the blanket between the legs, we're going to rest the belly down onto our burritos with the cheek turned either way. Now, if that burrito is a super long ways away from you, remember we did grab a block or a book. You can grab your block or your book and bring your burrito up to you a little bit more. And while we're hanging out here in this supported child's pose, we're just going to start to come into the now. Closing the eyes if that feels safe, and if that doesn't feel safe, just softening the gaze. And starting to bring to mind 5 things that you can see in the room that you're in right now. 4 things that you can touch. 3 things that you can hear. 2 things that you can smell. And one thing that you can taste. Being here in this moment. And start to bring your awareness to the place between the shoulder blades. See if you can soften this area just a little bit through the course of the night. It might feel good to turn your cheek to the other side. Bringing your awareness back between the shoulder blades. Can you soften this area 10% more for the next minute? Slowly deepen the breath. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Push yourself up. We're going to bring our burritos up front, widthwise, about a third of the way down the mat. You'll want to bring your block or your book to the top of the mat so that it can be your pillow. We're going to come into the Kelly, but we're going to come into the Kelly supported. So with the burrito here, we'll bring the chest up and over. So it's the rib cage that is resting on your burrito. We're going to walk one hand away from the body in one direction and walk the hand away from the body in the opposite direction. Resting the forehead down onto the block. And remember, your block has 3 heights, so find the height that calls to your neck today. And coming back to that space between the shoulder blades, softening just 10% more. If you find in this position that there's some residual tension in that low back and hips tonight, maybe moosh the hips a couple of times, releasing that tension, encouraging relaxation. Coming back to that breath. Just staying here, present on your mat. Slowly start to deepen your breath. We're going to uncross the arms so that we can reverse the cross of the arms. So taking the arm that is in back and uncrossing it, bringing it up front. Getting into that opposite shoulder blade. Take a moment here, moosh those hips, moosh, 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 release all the tension. So this morning when I was preparing for this class, I found this quote by Kristen Armstrong, and it says, when everything is moving and shifting, the only way to counteract chaos is through stillness. When things are extraordinary, strive for ordinary. When the surface is wavy, dive deeper for quieter waters. So my question tonight is, where can you dive deeper to find some quieter waters? Slowly start to deepen your breath. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Push yourself back into a child's pose, Balasana, taking 3 deep breaths. We're going to keep the props just like they are. And we're going to come onto our sides. So you may want to have a second block or a third blanket handy. It kind of depends on the range of motion of your low back. What we're going to do is bring the ribcage up and over your little burrito here. You'll take the one block and hold it in your hand and bring the top arm up and over. But we're not done. Usually this is where we hang out. But we're actually tonight going to straighten that bottom leg and bring that front leg up in front and bent, so we're almost in a warrior pose. You're going to start to get a stretch through the side body a little bit deeper than we usually do in this pose, and start to get a lumbar sacrum opening. Now, if this knee doesn't come to the floor easily, if your lumbar area is like, no thank you, go ahead and grab your block and just lift that floor up to you. You should be fully supported here. Nothing should be hurting or pulling. Just a deep stretch. Coming back to those deep belly breaths. And finding 10% more ease in this pose. Slowly start to deepen the breath. And go ahead and release the block. Bring the leg back to center. And bring that top hand in front and use the hands to push yourselves up. We're going to come back onto the back here. Both knees will be bent. The burrito goes across the scapulas. And we'll open up, allowing the head to touch the ground. Now, if this pose right here is just torturous or the head does not touch the ground and that doesn't feel good, grab your block and use your block to lift the floor up to you. Before you go any deeper into the pose, you want to make sure that your neck feels very supported and your low back is feeling good. If this feels good, slowly start to straighten both legs, coming into supported fish. You are welcome to keep both legs bent if that is more comfortable for your back. Noticing how it feels to breathe in this position. Back to that breath, noticing where the breath is going. And see if you can find just a little bit more ease here. Hang out here for about 5 more deep breaths. Slowly start to deepen the breath. Bending both knees, planting the soles of the feet onto the ground. We'll work the elbows under the body and push ourselves back up. Rolling over onto the opposite side, so you'll just keep rolling over. We're gonna come into that pose on the other side. So bringing the rib cage up and over the bolster. Extending that bottom arm out. Bring the top arm up and over, stretching out the side body. Both legs are straight. And then bring that top leg up and over, getting into that lumbar sacrum area. Remember, you're welcome to have the block under your knee to lift the floor up to you. You don't want that low back to feel like it's not supported here. Coming back to that breath. Nowhere to be, nothing to do, just here on the mat. Taking 4 more deep breaths here. Slowly start to deepen your breath. Then go ahead and release the block and bring that hand down in front. Using the arms, push yourself up to a seated position. We're going to go ahead and take the burrito off the mat. We'll need it for the last pose, so just keep it out to the side. You're going to grab your block or your book, whatever you wanted to use tonight. We're going to come onto the back, excuse me, Shanti. With the knees bent, soles of the feet onto the ground. You're going to put the weight into the heels and bring your block on either the baby bear or the mama bear level, or using the burrito if you don't have a block or book to use. We're going to put the weight into the heels, lift those hips up, and slip the block right underneath the hips. Then take a moment to re-parallel the feet and find a little comfort here. Walking the shoulder blades down the back like you're reaching for your heels. There's no need to actually hang on to the heels. We're just trying to create that space in the neck. Finding a little bit of ease in this pose. If keeping the feet parallel is not comfortable, you're welcome to walk your feet out to the wide edge of the mat and bring the knees together if that is more comfortable for the low back. Can you find just a little bit more softness in this pose? Taking 5 more deep breaths here. Slowly deepen your breath. Put the weight into your heels and lift the hips up. Removing the block. Coming back onto the back. Take just a moment to hug one knee up to the chest. Exhale, release, switching sides. Inhale the opposite knee up to the chest. Exhale, hugging both knees to the chest. Anchor the hips and the shoulder blades onto the mat. See if you can lengthen the sacrum, the tailbone just a little bit longer. And then hug the knees to the chest one last time. And either rolling over onto your side and using your arm to push yourself up, or rocking like a ball and rocking up and down the mat, coming back to a seated position, whichever is best for your body. We're going to close. I have an option of supported Supta Baddha Konasana, or of course Savasana is always a choice. So if you would like to come into Savasana, come flat onto the back, straighten both legs, bring the heels out as wide as the mat or wider. Maybe slip your burrito under your knees to offer the low back a little bit of support. And walk those shoulder blades down the back for your final resting pose, Savasana. If you'd like to come into Supta Baddha Konasana, go ahead and bring your burrito lengthwise down the mat. Bringing the back or the sacrum right up to your burrito. We'll bring the soles of the feet together, the knees will open up wide. Maybe the blanket will come across the hips, maybe it won't. Laying back onto the blanket, letting the shoulder blades drape over your burrito. Opening the arms out super wide. Of course, if the knees are up really high and that's pulling on the hips, grabbing those blocks and slipping the blocks underneath the knees for your final resting pose. And going back to that breath. In these last few minutes, see if you can deepen the breath just a skosh more. Maybe invite the muscles to relax just a little bit more. It's safe to put down the armor. It's safe to put down the guard. Just being here, present with your breath. Slowly deepen your breath and start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Straightening both legs. Bring the arms up and over the head for a full body stretch, taking up as much room as you possibly can from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. Rolling over onto one side, pausing there for just a moment. Bringing to mind one thing that you love about yourself. One thing that you're grateful for right now. And offering yourself just a moment of gratitude for taking time to practice tonight. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position with hands at Anjali Heart Center. And I leave you with this quote by Morgan Freeman. Learning to be still, to really be still, and to let life happen, that stillness becomes radiance. So as we close tonight, my question is, where can you radiate just a little bit more in this stillness? And where can you dive just a little bit deeper to find stillness? I am so very grateful for the opportunity to practice with each and every one of you. The light in me so very much honors the light in you. Namaste. If you find value in this offering, it happens every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Invite your friends to come play. It's absolutely free. I don't even take donations, so just have your friends come play for